Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tipoff 2021-2022. Dr. Ron Poniewasz, basketball professor and the professor of basketball. I guess I'm the basketball doctor and you are the basketball professor. You're going to teach us all we need to know. That is Larry Kelly on the left-hand side of your screen, everybody. And thank you again, Larry, for joining us. Happy to have you.
Well, I'm always happy to be here. I got my Akron Zips garb on, courtesy of my dear friend John Latina when he was a coach at Akron University. That's my alma mater. That's where I went to law school. So, yeah, I'm just I'm sporting the Akron Zips colors today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's all I need to know about basketball. You need good players to win. That'll be the I guess the word of the day. Moving forward, you need good players.
It's a player's game.
It's all about the players, my friend.
Mm-hmm. All right. We have 3 segments for you here this week, and we're going to tell you about a young man that had quite a trio of games last week and hit a milestone along the way. Larry will tell you all you need to know about the Newcastle boys basketball program, and then we will have one final topic at the end. But right now, we are going to tell you about Union High boys basketball standout Matthew Stanley, a 5'10" junior guard for the Scotties. Last week, in 3 wins, the team went 3-0. He went 18 points in a 57-31 win over Nazareth Prep. Followed that up by 20 points in a 78-58 win over Rochester. And he had 30 points and 7 assists Saturday in a 70-46 win over Beaver Falls. In that game, he surpassed the 1,000-point plateau, giving him now 1,004 career markers. So that is Matthew Stanley, our athlete of the week. And Larry Kelly, your thoughts on those numbers?
Well, again, I guess reiterating our mantra for today's program, you need good players to win. Matthew Stanley's a good player. And by the way, Union got a few other Stanley brothers named Mark and Lucas, who are also very good players. And that's why I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Scotties may still be undefeated this season. Matthew's a tremendous player. To put up 30 points against Beaver Falls in the pit at Beaver Falls is a statement game. There are certain games that become statement games. They are a statement and a testament to who you are and who your team is. And I think that was the game that you could say was a statement as to who Matthew Stanley is and who the Union Scotties are. I know Beaver Falls isn't the team they used to be. They're struggling down here. The talent pool's getting thin for the Tigers. But to go into the pit and put up 30 and beat Beaver Falls 70-46 is a statement, both individually from Matthew Stanley and for the Union Scotties under the direction of his father, Mark Stanley.
Yeah, Union is now 4-0 in section play. They are 12-1 overall. Their lone loss is at the Neshannock tournament, the holiday tournament against the host Lancers. And that game, I believe, went overtime. But yeah, Neshannock is off to one heck of a start. Could be undefeated. But then again, they lost that game in overtime, so that could have went either way. And then don't forget, Union won a buzzer beater at Elwood, where if you talk to Elwood fans, the Elwood fans will tell you that ball was shot just after the buzzer. You talk to Union fans, and they'll say, count it, and let's get out of here, and let's get on the way home.
Well, again, good teams win close games, Ronnie. They do things at the end of the game that brings victory to their side, and good coaches do the same. Mark Stanley's an excellent coach, but it's all about the players, Ronnie. I've been coaching at various levels for over 20 years, and I can tell you that you need good players to win games, and nothing can be more true than in basketball. And the Stanley brothers are excellent players. Beaver Falls. Again, to beat them so handedly at Beaver Falls in the pit is a real statement, individually for Matthew and for the Union Scotties. And that's a good basketball team. They're really good, and I expect that they will continue to be good throughout the year. In Class A, they got a chance to win a Whitfield championship. They certainly do.
Yeah, and very well have a great shot at winning a section title. Not only not only just winning the section title, but might go undefeated in the section. As I was talking to Mark Stanley last night regarding that section, when you look at the records in that section, Union at 12-1, and then Eden at 6-4, and then you have Rochester 3-6, Western Beaver 2-5, Nazareth Prep 1-9, Cornell 5-7. So without blatantly asking, what kind of a section is that? Yeah, I have to, I asked Mark Stanley about it, and he mentioned, you have to remember that that's 1A, and when you're playing showcase games or holiday tournament games or tip-off tournament games, a lot of times you're 1A versus 2A, 4A, 6A, 3A, what have you. You're playing up in competition, which lends to not the greatest of non-section records or overall records. And he said there are good basketball teams in that section. Make no mistake about it.
There are good basketball teams in that section, but none of those teams are beating the Union Scotties this year.
Right.
They got it going. My reference to undefeated was undefeated in the section, and I truly believe they will finish the season undefeated in the section. And they're not afraid to play up. I mean, they've played Beaver Falls at Beaver Falls. In the old days, they might have gotten beat by 50, but these aren't the old days. And, Union can beat anybody. And, again, to go down there in the pit at Beaver Falls and beat them handily is a real testament to their team.
Yeah. Very good team that the Union Scotties have on the boys' side and the girls' side for that matter. But Matthew Stanley is our athlete of the week this week for 68 points overall in 3 games, including a milestone hitting the 1,000-point plateau. Congratulations to Matthew Stanley. He is our athlete of the week. And
there's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Yeah, we're back with you here on Tip Off, our final topic of the night. And if you remember last week, if you tuned in, we had read a verbatim quote from John Corey about how he mentioned that game against Elwood City was lost in May, June, and July. And we spoke last week and said, well, they got 2 games next week, and one of them is on the road against Laurel. Lo and behold, Neshannock goes 2-0 last week. So I think John Corey did more than a little bit of fire lighting under that team. I think he got the pilot light going pretty good, Larry. They're turned around. They're looking good.
Well, again, it's all about the players. Again, this started with the mantra, you got to have good players. Neshannock has good players. But if you go into a game and you are not laser focused and you are not mentally tough to ride out the ebbs and flows of a basketball game, it's something Ralph says every game. Look, there's going to be runs in this game, and we'll have runs and they'll have runs. And, when they make their run, we still got to be mentally tough. You're going to win games. And I think that's kind of what John did. He fine-tuned the focus button on his team and turned up the heat to remind them that you got to be mentally tough to win basketball games. Big win for them. Laurel is tough. They play good defense. You're playing at Laurel. It's not an easy place to play. I remember when my daughters used to play there at Riverside. It's not an easy place to shoot the basketball. Those rims were always tight. And but John got it done, and the Lancers got it done. They have good players, and I expect that as the season moves forward, that they will get better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Speaking of coaching, Larry, tonight, Monday night, January 17th, Neshannock is on the road. The girls basketball team at Shenango. It's the lone game in the county. Everybody else got postponed because of Mother Nature. If Neshannock wins that game tonight, that'll be career win number 697 in the storied basketball career of Luann Grabowski. So she is 4 games away from 700. They play, I want to say, well, they must play 3 games this week one way or another, because I believe Monday night, the 24th against Sewickley, if I remember correctly, that would be career win number 700. Larry, just from a coach's perspective, and you coach baseball and you coach basketball, when you hear somebody who has that many wins and is on the verge of 700 career wins, put that into perspective for us, if you would. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, that is just, it says two things. Number one, you've had good players. That's the mantra. And Luann would be the first one to tell you that she's had good players. But good coaches win with good players. Bad coaches, they lose with good players. Luann's a great coach. Her intensity and her knowledge of the game are probably unparalleled in the women's game. The fact that she's won 700 games means that she has probably averaged about 25 to 30 wins a season for over 20 years. You know, I think she's been coaching 30 years. She's been averaging 25 wins a season during that time. That's an impressive record. That is something that very few coaches in Pennsylvania can put on their resume. 700 career wins. Wow. And Luann does it right. I mean, she invests herself into the program. She's coaching these girls when they're in junior high. She's coaching these girls when they're in elementary school. You know, their first introduction to her doesn't occur at the high school level. I've always said that to be successful as a program, you got to have good coaches from the elementary level to the junior high level. And then when you get them at the varsity level, they're ready to go. And she's not only had good coaches to help her, but she's invested herself in her program and done it herself. You know, nobody's there writing it up in a Newcastle News or the newspaper when she's coaching a elementary school team or a junior high team during the summer months. You know, but she does it. She does it to make sure they understand her philosophy, so that she can evaluate the talent, work on what needs to be worked on. It just doesn't happen, Ronnie. I mean, you got to have good players. And again, she'll be the first one to tell you that. You got to have good players. But you can take a good player and make them better. And that's what she's done her entire career.
42 years on the bench for her career is what we have on our records for her career. So that's quite a long time. 700 wins, very impressive accomplishment. It's been a lot of fun from my perspective being able to watch her teams and watch her coach. You know, because as a reporter, you're right there at press row. You're getting to hear her strategies as she's, you know, yelling them out throughout the game, or maybe sometimes you might be able to be close enough that you can hear them in the huddle and things like that. But she's done a great job no matter where she's been. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, I've covered games where she's coached at Newcastle and now at Neshannock. 700 wins, boy, that's out there. Like you said, it's a number that is unfathomable. And I talked to Cara DiNardo Joseph on Sunday night and interviewed her, you know, about that. And she even remarked how much that she's learned from Luann Grabowski. And, you know, Larry, while we're talking about coaching wins, as long as Newcastle wins Tuesday night against Char Valley, and then Friday night against Amani Christian at Geneva College, that'll be career win number 300 for Ralph Blundo. That's counting his 27-2 mark at George Junior Republic. So, boy, you know, to have two.
Well, what's impressive about that, Ralph's only been a head coach for 13 years. Right? This is our 12th year at Newcastle, and he had 1 year at George Junior. So that's really impressive. What's that? Do the math on that. How many wins does he average in a season? Do the math on that. So
yeah, quite a bit.
It's those are two impressive coaches, both Newcastle people through and through, Lawrence County coaches. I guess Coach Grabowski and Coach Kelly have something in common, and only one thing. Last year we both won the WPIAL and lost in the state final. And I know I still haven't watched the game. I have it on TV, and you know, I have it recorded, but I haven't watched it. When I talk to Luann, I'm going to ask her if she's watched her state championship game yet.
Mhm.
She probably has. She's tougher than me, but I will watch it. And I'm sure at some point in time she will watch it because, that's how you learn. You always learn a little more in your defeats. Defeat is a way better teacher than victory. And Luann hasn't had many defeats lately. And a great coach. I respect her. And like I said, as Ralph Belundo is the gold standard for men's coaches, high school basketball in Western Pennsylvania, Luann's the gold standard for women's coaches, high school basketball in Western Pennsylvania. And that's about the highest compliment that I could give her.
The one thing that you didn't mention, Larry, that Ralph Belundo did stress when talking about his 300 wins is he said, Ron, you not only need good players to win basketball games, but you have to have good coaches on your staff. He said, we don't win the number of games that we do without great players, without great coaches. And I've surrounded myself with great coaches on this staff. So, that, and you could say the same about Luann Grabowski throughout the years. Ralph has surrounded himself with great coaches, and so has Luann.
Just to touch on that, I'll never forget the first meeting that we had, Newcastle basketball staff. And believe me, I'm a small part of that. The coaches he's talking about are Jason Dunalack and Bobby Nattel and Coach Humphrey. And there's been a few others on that varsity staff. But when I looked around the table, I not only saw guys who had good basketball minds, but I saw good men. Men who could be role models for, the young men that they coach. I'm a firm believer that a high school basketball coach is the bridge between adolescence and adulthood for young men and women. And, at least at Newcastle, and I can say same thing about Coach Grabowski, there are no better mentors than you could ask for than those two coaches and the people that they surround themselves with who help them. Because I think at the end of the day, Ronnie, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, we should be judged not necessarily on how many games we've won, but instead, how successful are the young men and women who we have coached become in their adult life. I think that's the real measuring stick. At least that's Larry Kelly's view.
Yeah, that's where your true victories are rolled up in right there. What you do with your graduations rate and your rate in terms of going on in life and what you do in all walks of life for sure. All right. Anything else, Larry, that you'd like to say on our topics this week?
No, Ronnie, it's going to be a great week in Lawrence County for Newcastle hoops and for high school basketball as a whole in Lawrence County this week. I look forward to it. And look forward to chatting with you next week, my brother.
One interesting question I want to ask you, Larry. I know Ralph would be the one to ask more importantly, but suppose the Char Valley game gets postponed tomorrow because of weather, and you have a non-section game Friday and Saturday, a classic at Geneva on Friday and a matchup at Westminster. Are either of those two games in a position where you could cancel them and get that Char Valley game in, or do you have to look further down the road for that?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question. My guess is if by chance the game would be canceled for tomorrow, and it looks like the weather's calming down, it would probably be played Wednesday. That's my guess. That's my guess. I know there are certain requirements of the WPIAL that if the game is canceled, it is required to be played on the next available date.
Okay. All right.
So if both teams are open on Wednesday, that's when that game would be played.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good insight there, Larry. Best of luck to our coaches and players around the county. Be safe if you're going out to watch games, not just on the roads and on the sidewalks walking into the gyms, but be safe with your surroundings. Wear a mask if need be. Stay safe. Take all the precautions you can. And best of luck again to our players and coaches. And we will see you back here next week. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Take care, everybody.
As a veteran, I fought for our ideals. That we are a nation of laws. That the laws apply to everyone, and that no one is above the law. So if you've been hurt in an auto accident, I don't think you should be pushed around by some insurance company. Not on my watch. I'll work hard to protect your rights. I'm not afraid to go to trial, and I've never run from a fight. I'm Chuck Garbett, and I'm proud to serve the people of Lawrence County.